My name is Kelsey Eldridge, and I will be talking about flying your way to success for American Airlines. What this entails is it talks about the different complaints that we have received through complaints.com about American Airlines and the types of experiences that passengers have received through using American Airlines. We will briefly be talking about just a brief summary of what we found, the background of the complaints, a more brief analysis or in-depth analysis of the different complaints and the different categories that we have been able to put the different complaints into, and then we will briefly give a conclusion and talk about the recommendations that we would suggest for American Airlines. So first we're going to be talking about the summary. The purpose of this complaint, or the purpose of the different complaints that we have received, Washington Square Consulting Firm lists the types of complaints being made. We also talk about the changes that should be made, as well as how the complaints have affected the company and how our different recommendations can affect the company overall and make it a better experience for the different passengers that have chosen American Airlines. We also talk about the body of American Airlines. Briefly, the background, the objectives that we have set for this presentation. As far as the background goes, there have been a lot of complaints filed against American Airlines, and we wanted to analyze that data. We were interested in this topic because of an experience that one of the Washington Square Consulting Firm employees has had. They briefly traveled with American Airlines to a destination to visit their family, and on the way back, they had a horrible experience with American Airlines, and they came back and they wanted to dig deeper into American Airlines and find out just how many people have had a bad experience with American Airlines. We divided the complaints into 3 different categories: lying, notifications, and poor customer service. The objectives of this presentation are to improve the accuracy with the procedures, improve information shared with passengers, provide a better listening staff. As we continue on to the methodology, we ask the question, where does American Airline employees gain their information that needs to be shared with passengers? Another question that we've asked is, how can we monitor what information gets relayed to the passengers, and are employees taking the time to listen to each passenger's needs? The reason we ask these 3 questions is because we want to get down to a bigger and more in-depth analysis of exactly what is going on and how we as a firm can help American Airline employees improve. So as we read through the complaints and wrote down the information, there were over 50 complaints against American Airlines. Passengers were sharing their feelings and the different types of emotions that they received with American Airlines and their different experiences. So we summarized the experiences for the customers, and we summarized those stories to gain a better understanding of what they needed and how it could be a better experience. And then we divided the complaints into 3 different types of categories, and we combined the different complaints that we analyzed. So the first analysis that we came up with was the first category, so the American Airline employees lying to the customers. There were different complaints regarding the passengers that they felt that the American Airline employees were lying about. One customer said that they didn't receive a refund when the American Airline employees told them that they would be able to receive it. Also, they were told that they would get 2 free tickets because of a cancellation that they received, and they never got that refund, and there was no record to indicate that that was ever said to the customer. As we continue on to the next analysis, we go into the second category. It's not notifying passengers. There have been a lot of complaints about how the passengers they did not receive any information about their flight cancellation or flight changes. They didn't receive it via email, text, phone call, nothing. There was no indication of the different changes that occurred to their flight, and they either missed it or they were late for their flight and were not able to get to the next flight until the following day. As we go into the third analysis, we talk about poor customer service. This is where the most analysis was really dug into. Over 50% of the complaints were filed about poor customer service, whether that was a rude employee, not following up with the employee after there was a complaint made, not being prepared on the flight, etc. The passengers stated that they wouldn't recommend this airline to anyone because of the lack of care and participation that the American Airline employees received. As we continue on, after the further analysis of each complaint and in those different categories, we wanted to conclude that passengers' needs are not being met. The passengers wanted their experience to be more enjoyable, and they weren't able to receive that. That was correlated with the customer service. With the no notifications category, there was no relay of any information. There was no changes relayed to the passenger, and there was no information that gave them the knowledge of what was going on with their flight. There was also the lying of American Airline employees. When one thing was stated, it was not followed through, and the customer complained about how their experience could have been better in that way, and that the American Airline employees didn't know all their information. So the recommendations that Washington Square Consulting Firm suggests is to ask the customer directly if they are being satisfied. This is addressing the passenger's needs. We're asking them if there's anything else we can do, anything else that they need, etc., to help the passenger feel more appreciated and more on a one-on-one basis. As far as the no notifications go, we want to suggest that you guys monitor flight status and send instant updates of the change or cancellation of each flight to tell the customer what is going on and exactly what needs to happen. As far as not giving the full truth, we recommend recording all phone calls as well as emails to monitor what exactly is going on and to give the employees more information about what needs to be said during certain situations. So upon the further analysis, we give those recommendations to American Airlines to suggest ways to help them improve and for employees and passengers to have a better experience with American Airlines. Thank you.